Hey, are you ready to glow like the queen you are? Then it's time to book with Sunshine's Aesthetics by Michaela Graves, where smooth skin, flawless brows, and customized facials are just the beginning. From full body waxing to lash and brow laminations, Michaela's got the magic touch to keep you looking snatched and stress free. Self care isn't selfish, y'all, it's essential. Call her today or even text 336 529 1666. That's 336 529 1666 and let your skin thank you later.
Welcome to Back Porch Confessions, where the sweet tea is strong, the stories are stronger, and no topic is too taboo for the porch. Grab a seat, kick off your shoes, and let's get into the kind of conversations your mama warned you about, but you listen anyway. And we're on. Hey, welcome to Back Porch Confessions. This is Barbara reaching out to you again. I am here by myself this time. I don't have anybody to interview at the moment. Everybody's busy with the summertime things, so no big deal. I have been kind of reviewing and going through things that I've encountered myself, and so I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years in regards to like perimenopause and menopause for women, because there's a lot of things out there that these doctors do not tell us. And I think that we as women are not educated enough in regards to our health, and I think that we really need to be way more educated and be able to go to the doctors with these things, and they are also educated, because I do not think that they are. I don't think that they take the time to get to know what we as women need, or even what our symptoms are, because a lot of these symptoms that I'm going to go over today I have experienced probably over the last 10 to 15 years. Even though I had a hysterectomy at 38, I was having some of them already before I actually had the hysterectomy, but I did have a tubal done after my last child was born back in 2004. So I would say sometime after all of that happening is when a lot of these symptoms were starting to happen for me. So I've got my little notes here I'm going to look at every once in a while, and I'll try not to look away from the screen too much, but hopefully most of you all are just listening and we're not watching me make a fool of myself. So basically the nitty-gritty of like perimenopause and menopause, I would say, to bring a breakdown, the raw, real, and researched that I've done in my own experiences, I would say that the Perry show, or if you want to call it the I am losing my mind era, because most of us women have no idea what the Hades is going on. We just know that we're losing our minds, and we have no idea why. Why are these things upsetting me? Why am I always wanting to cry? Why am I always so full of rage? I don't understand why I can't find peace and happiness. I don't understand why I have no desire to be touched. I don't understand why I am feeling like I'm anxious all the time. And the list goes on and on. But I can say that with perimenopause, unless you've had a hysterectomy, obviously starts sometime in your 30s, sometimes a little bit sooner, very seldom, but sometimes it can start a little bit sooner. And they call it the sneaky little sister that shows up before menopause. And some women will notice this in their mid-30s, but most common in their 40s. I think of it as a hormonal roller coaster that will have like a loose seat belt, and you're just kind of like bouncing all over in life, and you have no idea what the Hades just hit you. You don't know, around that corner what's going to hit you, and around this corner what's going to hit you, because yes, that's definitely perimenopause. It will absolutely make you feel like you're on a roller coaster. It lasts longer than most people think. Most people think perimenopause is just going to be a couple years. No. Perimenopause can actually last you 4 to 10 years. Yup, you heard me. 4 to 10 years. There's women out there almost in their 50s that have not had their doctors talk to them and run blood work to find out whether or not they're in menopause or perimenopause. And they have no idea what's hitting them. They just know they feel like they're losing their damn minds. I felt like that for many years on some of these symptoms that I've had, that I'm just like, wow, what is going on? Why am I so anxious? Your periods get weird. Some of us will have multiple. Some will be early. Some will be late. They'll be light. They'll be heavy. They'll ghost you for a few months. And then they show back up like there's somebody been unalived in your bathroom. It's just, coming on in a rage, just like we're feeling, that all of a sudden it's a bam, and it hits you hard like a brick wall. So there's that aspect of it. And I think a lot of people even go through this before perimenopause. A lot of young girls will end up on some type of medicine, birth controls or something, to help them, I would say, get more, to ease the period, I reckon. I guess I'm pausing here. I don't want to say something wrong and then they take this off, but so it will ease the periods, and make them more normal if they're on birth control, not because they're having relations with anybody, but because their monthly cycles causes them to either be extremely tired, extremely irritable, bouncing off the walls, heavy menstrual flow, and things are just kind of erratic, or they show up and then they don't show up, kind of like they do in menopause. Young girls often fall into that these days, where it doesn't show up like it should. It shows up like it does for us in menopause or perimenopause. So I just think the whole woman's body is kind of crazy, and you just never know, honestly, what you're going to get out of any of it, to be truthful. Our estrogen levels drop and we become drama queens. Again, I think that goes for a lot of things in our life. Young girls get that when we start to get 12 or 13. Gosh, even earlier sometimes these days. I can't imagine what some of these moms have to go through that have a daughter that's 10 or 11 or 12 years old, experiencing this already. I know people, I know that it's happened. My girls didn't have that, but I just, oh gosh, how do you explain that to such a young child, and how do you deal with that? I don't know. I wish I had somebody here with me to go over these things that maybe, did have that experience. So I don't really have an answer for that. Oh my gosh. I just, I pray for you, Mama. That's all I gotta say is I pray for you. Throughout all of this, the cycles and everything just going crazy because the women are, our bodies just do kind of whatever they want. Our life also affects that, and our traumas, and later on we'll get into that, kind of how it comes back to haunt us. But our estrogen levels also, get really low, which causes a lot of mood swings, anxiety, rage. Yes, rage. If you're all of a sudden just feeling like, oh my gosh, I could just take his head off, or if this person doesn't get out of the way, I'm just going to have to drive around them. And, the road rage, the home rage, the kids are irritating you, the dogs are irritating you, the microwave going off irritates you, the refrigerator making noise, someone getting ice in their cup. It don't matter. It makes your heart race, and you feel like you're going to lose your mind, and you just snap, and everybody's looking at you like, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you mad at me? I just was getting ice out of the refrigerator. Like, what is wrong with you? Calm down. Again, don't tell a woman to calm down, especially when they don't understand why they're raged by that. Well, guess what? It's because you have no estrogen, and your doctors have not tested that, and you have no idea. It affects your brain. It affects your heart rate. It affects our bones. It affects our bladders. Your heart rate will fluctuate. I've had that for years. I couldn't figure out what's wrong with this because my estrogen levels are never right. I am just now at 52. I'm trying to get that regulated again because my doctor that I was seeing for that kind of thing wasn't giving me anything for my estrogen. Well, I thought she was, but she wasn't. But my new doctor, Dr. Coley, in Greensboro, and I'm going to tag him in all of this stuff, has now gotten me on the pellet, which is, in my derriere. But I've noticed a difference. I do have a little more energy. It's just starting though, so it's going to take time for it to actually work for me. But man, yeah, the heart rate, it still is doing the elevated thing, and it could be some of the other things I got going on. But we women will experience that as when our estrogen levels are off, low or non-existent. So our heart rates will just go all over the place, and we won't be able to control them. It's like it's like it just takes over our whole body. Like we have no control over what the heck is happening to us, let alone knowing what the heck is happening to us, because we're not educated. Nobody educates us. Nobody tells us anything. Women deal with brain fog, itchy skin, and crawly skin. Like, do you ever feel like there's a spider crawling on you, or like a tick or something, and you just get you just itching? Well, I itch because I have psoriasis in my hair, but nonetheless, insomnia took over my life. Joint pain, I do have joint pain because of menopause, and I also have joint pain because of psoriatic arthritis and fibromyalgia, and so I have a whole gamut of things that makes my joint pain a whole lot worse than normal. But as a woman, you go through the joint pain and you don't understand what's going on. All of a sudden, you're able to run one day, and the next day you get up and your hip's hurting, or your knee's hurting, or your ankle's hurting, or you go try to move something around in the garage or a closet, or even just rearrange a cabinet, and you've hurt something in your elbow, and you're like, what? That's because we have low estrogen and all these other things that lead to the joint pain in our bodies, because we don't have enough to keep our bodies strong. It depletes us. Our children deplete us when we have them, and then as age comes on, our bodies turn on themselves and it depletes it, and we don't have that to keep the energy going. The heart palpitations, oh gosh, I've for years trying to figure out, okay, why am I having these palpitations? I've gone through a gamut of heart things with the cardiologist lately. They had the heart monitor on me. I wore it for 2 weeks. I had 43,324 PVCs during that 2-week period. I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. There's something wrong major. And no, evidently, some people just have that every once in a while. Okay. So it's probably just menopause and the fact that I thought I was having complete hormone replacement therapy stuff, and I was not. And then hair thinning. So, hair thinning, yes, naturally happens. I was having it, so I had that happening at the same time as I got COVID, which then made my hair fall out more. And then I figured out that I evidently had Hashimoto's that I didn't know I had. So the COVID made that exacerbate, and so my hair was just falling out in clumps. It didn't matter what I did. It was dry. It was and so my hair was probably down to here, and I had to cut it off up to here in order to have healthy growth. And then I went back to my natural color, and I wasn't doing any of these other pretty colors that I have now. And oh gosh, I was so just sad and heartbroken. I just, my heart went out to the women that actually have alopecia, because I was just like, oh my gosh, am I going to get alopecia? Is that where I'm headed? Is that what's happening? We as women are so identified by our hair. It means a lot to us. We spend a lot of time and money on being beautiful with our hair, and don't look at mine today. I kind of got it pulled up, but whatever. But normally we want to have healthy, beautiful hair that people just compliment you on all the time. It's part of our identity as women. That's why so many women keep long hair forever, and some of them have these fancy shortcuts that they rock, and they look absolutely amazing in. I I love it all. It doesn't matter to me. I know that I like my hair longer. I prefer it longer, and it was quite a shocker when I had to. Look at me as I play with my hair. Sorry. It was a shocker. It really was. And then I'm having these other hairs pop out from places that I'm like, okay, well, so Hashimoto's makes you lose hair in places like your underarms and stuff. I'm like, okay, great. I don't have to shave my underarms no more. So I guess you can consider that a perk of Hashimoto's. Hair gets thinner in lady part areas, but then all of a sudden the hair on my legs is growing like there's a 5 o'clock shadow waiting around the corner 2 minutes after I shave. If I get a cold chill, I feel the hair growing on my legs. Am I the only one that feels that way? No, I've had a few other women say that. But yeah, it seems kind of a phenomenon between some women. But nonetheless, it does happen. But I can't keep my legs from feeling stubbly all the time. And that's just the strangest thing to me because I had never had that problem in my life. Why is it now happening? Who knows? I'm guessing, it's going from my head to my legs, I guess. Heck, I don't know. Anyway, this is the weirdness that we experience during the menopause, perimenopause stage. I'm sure I'm at 52 in the menopause, or at least that's what they tell me, because I've had the complete hysterectomy, which means they took everything out because I had cysts on my ovaries. So my choice was to go ahead and leave one in, which didn't have any at the time. But he said, you're probably going to have to come back in 6 months to a year and have the other one taken out. It's really up to you, though. It could last longer. I don't know. I just opted to have it all removed and just be done with it. I didn't want to have to keep going back in. I was in a position in my life at that point where I freaking drove myself to the hospital the morning I was having the surgery. And, the husband at the time came in a little bit and went to work, and the doctor was like, why is there nobody here for her? And it was just kind of a weird place in our lives at that time. And yeah, it was just a weird place in our lives. And I was just like, I don't want to have to keep doing this. I don't have time to be messing with any of this. Let's just get it over with. So I was on a birth control called Yaz for 10 years. And then I kept reading all these things about how hormone replacement therapy is terrible for women, and it's going to cause this, it's going to cause that. So I ended up going off, wishing I had not gone off, because that's when I started to feel the crepey skin come in, feeling the weight at the middle part of my body more than I had been. And, just, I don't know, just different things that happened to me when I quit using that. Headaches, not being able to sleep well, because my body was exhausted, just completely exhausted, because I had quit taking that, which had, testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen in it. And it was replacing those things for me, or at least keeping them at a decent level so that I could still feel like I was a human being. I made the mistake of deciding to go away from that. But I will say that I have this little mole here on my chin that has decided to sprout hairs every once in a while. Just all of a sudden there'll be 3 long crazy hairs, and I'll be like, I just looked at my face 5 minutes ago. Where the heck did that come from? Anybody else have that problem? Because I just find it to be quite weird. Like, where did that come from? I have 2 weird ones on the back upper part of my leg that if I forget to shave it after a few days or a few weeks or whatever, probably more like a few weeks, all of a sudden there'll be a really long black hair hanging off the back of my leg. Really? Where did that come from? Somebody noticed it when I was getting out of a boat or something, and they were like, you've got a really long hair on your leg. I'm like, what? So they take a picture of it for me, and oh, well, great. And pull it for me. So anyway, now every once in a while I have to make sure that I check the back of my leg to make sure I've shaved said hair. Weird hair just blooming out the back of my leg. What? Okay, the joys of all of this, being a woman and growing to be an older woman. We're going to do it with grace, ladies. Your libido oh gosh, my libido has done one of these numbers. It definitely is doing the cha-cha, because sometimes I have a desire, and then 4 hours later, I'm too tired. I don't even want to be messed with. I've got the fibromyalgia and stuff. So some of the things that I used to once enjoy pre-COVID, I don't enjoy as much anymore. And but part of that libido change is sensitivity shifts for women, and we don't understand it. We're like, okay, well, I don't know what happened. I used to enjoy this. Why can't I pinpoint why now I don't enjoy it? So I start blaming it on things that I've got. And could some of it be attributed to fibromyalgia? Maybe. But I'm thinking it's more just menopause, and I just no longer have a sensitivity to that spot being a pleasure area. And so yeah, and then your vaginal area becomes the Sahara Desert, and you're trying to figure out, okay, why is this so uncomfortable? Why is it non-existent anymore in regards to having my own kind of lubricant? Instead, I have to go buy stuff over the counter, which is completely embarrassing. So I rather just order it from Amazon and let it come in a box. Except for now that I have my stepson on my Amazon, so I kind of got to be careful what I do order, because that's a little awkward. Yeah. Well, you know what? He chose to be on there, so if he doesn't like to see it, I guess he needs to just not look at what I ordered. So yeah, there's that. Help does exist in those things. You can ask for a lubricant or like a estrogen cream from the gynecologist. I will say though that insurances most usually don't cover that. They will at times, but they generally don't. If they do, then they only cover about so much of it. And then when you go to get it filled at the pharmacy and they tell you it's $100, and you're looking at them like they'd grow to third eye, like seriously, you got a big eye on your head. What? $100? Let's just say I didn't get it. I didn't have $100 to get it at the time. Nobody warns you that this is going to happen, that it's going to be an extra $100. What have we all lost our minds? $100 for some cream? Yeah, I don't need it that bad. My husband would beg to differ, but I was not. We'll find another way around this one. So that's just some of the things that go on with perimenopause. You start to feel those body jolts and the weirdness that goes on, the palpitations, the lethargy, the anger, the rage, the anxiety that fills your body, all of the things that all of a sudden are coming out of left field, and you're just like, where is this coming from and why is this happening to me? Well, you might want to go get your numbers tested to see if you are in perimenopause. Menopause though, the milestone for doctors is like 1 year, no period. And then they're like, oh, let's go ahead and test you. You got, you're in menopause, most likely. Why they wait that long, I don't know. Gosh, they don't even want to test for perimenopause anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I think getting a good quality hormone replacement doctor that's willing to do these things for you, like Dr. Coley, I thought my other place was, but no, they really weren't doing me any service. But yeah, menopause, basically average age is 51 is what the research says. But it can happen anywhere between 40 and 58 years old. Early menopause is considered to be before 45, and then premature menopause is before 40. So I had premature menopause, but mine was surgically induced. But nobody talks enough to people who are in their 40s that are going through all of these feelings and these things in their bodies, and they're like, oh, when they hear something like this that tells them, okay, maybe I am having menopausal symptoms, and that's what's going on, and I'm not just losing my mind and there's something wrong with me. And you go through the gamut of things that you think might be wrong with you, and you run to the doctor 500 times and they're trying to figure it out because they're not thinking about this. Nobody talks enough about it, I can tell you that. So I am going to put a voice to some of it. We need to, at our age, once we start to get into the menopause thing, is definitely protect our hearts and our bones, because it is the number one contributor to heart disease in women once you start to get into menopause. So making sure that you have good heart health, eating right, not a lot of fried foods, trying to have a little exercise, even if it's just 3 days a week and you go walk for 20 minutes. Just keep your heart health and your weight at a healthy place. It's not always easy to do. Some people just are predispositioned to be heavier, and you have to work harder on that. And I understand that, and I'm not here to try to judge anybody on that. I have to work. I have to watch what I do, and I can't just sit around and eat a piece of pie every day like I would like to, or a bowl of ice cream every night before bed, even though I'm not supposed to have any dairy. But, sometimes I still take some dairy. I pay for it usually, but it's good while it's happening. So try to lift some weights, keep your bones and your muscles in a good shape. Just some light lifting weights, even if you just get some of those 1 or 2 pound things that will strap around your wrist and your legs, and you're just wearing them as you walk around the house all day long. Go get one of those pedal machines if you sit in an office and use that while you're sitting there. They're usually pretty quiet. You can probably get away with those. So there's lots of things you can do for your health, and go to a gym if you want to go to a gym. I'm not a gym person. I was years ago. I'm definitely not anymore. I'm too awkward. I'd prefer to be at home. I do have now what this is called a vibrating plate. So it's a machine, and I don't know. You can stand in it here, here, or here, and it gives you 3 different aspects. I'm going to try to sell it on TikTok because I've got the TikTok shop thing now that I can do, so I'm going to start doing that. But it helps with lymph drainage, lymphatic drainage, and it helps with fibromyalgia. It helps with any of the arthritises, because basically when you're standing on this thing and it's going well like this, and you're trying to function, and then it slows down, and then it does it again. So it's like you can stand on that thing on the outer edge for 20 minutes, and it's like you've run 3 miles. So 20 minutes in your house, in front of the TV, or listening to your podcast, listening to me, on this plate, you're going to get the same amount of exercise you would get if you went outside in the heat and ran 3 miles. Some people love to do that. More power to you. I used to love to do that. I cannot do it now. I would probably absolutely die. Hashimoto's gives me the ability to not like cold and not like heat. So there's a very small window of comfortability for me. And if I stay in it too long, I will definitely start to get migraines. I'll get fatigued. I'll pass out. I have heat strokes easy. All these things. We don't want none of that. So back to menopause. So basically, make sure that we're taking care of our bones and our hearts by being active. We have to stay active. So do not have a sedentary life at our age, because that is not good for us. Can you still get pregnant in perimenopause? Absolutely. Is it safe? Probably not. But it does happen. We hear it, we see it. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. But it's a little tougher when you're doing all the talking yourself and not sharing it with somebody. So just be careful. If you haven't gone through a whole full year of no periods, even still then, I've heard it can happen. So just make sure that you're protecting yourself, unless, you want to go ahead and try. That's, more power to you. But you can still get pregnant during that time frame if you're thinking that you can't. Well, I'm skipping my periods and I'm not having this or that happen, so I think I'm going to be okay. Well, no, you're not always going to be okay. And if you see me looking over here, I have 2 cameras going, and I tend to be more apt to look at that one because it always looks better than this one. Anyway, squirrel moment. So menopause is not a one size fits all. It's going to affect everybody differently. Some women are going to sail right through it, and other women are going to feel like they've been thrown into hormone hell. I felt that way because I just wasn't educated. Like, in here, I'm going to rip all this out, and you're never going to have a period again, and you're going to be great. Here, take this birth control pill. You'll be fine. That's it. That's the education. That is the education that they give us. Genetics, stress, trauma, diet, lifestyle, all play a role in how menopause is going to affect us. I can vouch for the fact that stress, trauma, not having a very good diet, and what was some of the other things? Genetics, yeah, they all play a very big role in how this is going to affect you. Menopause is not for the weak of heart. I can definitely say that. It will take over your life and you will not know what hits you because we are not educated. And I know I keep saying that, but it just drives me crazy. So you will hear a lot of things about HRT. What is HRT? HRT is hormone replacement therapy. That's the little pellet thing I have in my bum. It's hormone replacement therapy. It's going to cover the testosterone and estrogen. I take another pill separately for the progesterone. I love it. I mean, yeah, it was kind of weird, you know. You lay on this table and then they numb your cheek, and then he does this little thing, and then you feel him kind of poking around, and then next thing you know, you feel it being sewed up, and he's like, smacks you on the tail and tells you to leave. He didn't really do that, but I probably would have died laughing had he. But you kind of get the idea. So he's just like, okay, see you next time. So in 3 months, you have that done again. I'm not advocating for this. It may not work for you. It's not going to work for everybody. But for me currently, I think it is working, and I look forward to seeing where this is going to take me. I'm really encouraged by Dr. Coley and the amount of time he took to talk to me and the amount of time that he took to run blood work, got back to me immediately, got me in the office as quick as he could to have this done, and I couldn't thank him anymore. And I believe Amanda is the nurse, and she's absolutely amazing. So if you are in any of this and you have any questions, I definitely suggest going to Dr. Coley. You do have to pay out of pocket. I will warn you of that. It's not cheap, but it's not going to kill you either. I don't think. Personally, it's worth feeling more like a woman and a human being than a raging maniac. So HRT got a bad rap, which is what made me stop taking the birth control. Many women thought it was unsafe and going to be life-changing. But for many women, it's more important to have it than to not have it. Let's just say that. So, my hot flashes are more regulated. I don't get the hot and cold where my body temperature's more regulated. I have less night sweats. Oh gosh, the night sweats. You need to get up and you gotta change your darn PJs, and you feel like you gotta change the sheets in your bed, and then you're gonna wake up the old man. Gosh, the night sweats are terrible. You almost want to put a towel down to kind of absorb some of because it's gonna rock your world. Mood and bone health, obviously, not having the hormone replacement therapy, all those things are going to be affected. I've talked about that already. Again, this is saying to talk to your doctor that specializes in menopause, not just an OB doctor. So that's why I think it was very important for me to make the move to Dr. Coley, because he specializes in this. He's also a plastic surgeon, but he has a secondary in the hormone replacement therapy, and I'm thrilled to have been referred to him. There's just a huge research gap. It's really kind of a severe one, honestly, when it comes to the research that's done for women in menopause. They just don't do it. It's underfunded. They don't feel like it's necessary. And here's a kicker for you ladies. Men have ED, erectile dysfunction is what that stands for, and they get 5 times more research than we do for our menopause or perimenopause for women. choke on that one for a little while, right? So despite that affecting fewer people than perimenopause or menopause does, they do 5 times more research for it. You know, I'm going to say that most of these research groups are probably headed up by the male gender, which is why we don't know as much, because they don't know squat about us. Bless their hearts. We love having them in our lives. Most of us do, but yeah, they don't care about that. And that's that. There are non-hormonal options that you can do that are more natural, and there are some people that you can follow on TikTok and other places, even though I've heard they're going to start changing that and not allow that stuff on TikTok. But you can go to libraries, you can go to YouTube, you can search these things if you want to do things that are a little more on the natural line of it. Some doctors will give you SSRIs, which are, you know, anti-anxiety medicines, anti-depression medicines, and all these things. Well, you got to take one to deflect another and all these things. You know, if that's the route you want to go ahead and give it a try. It might work for you. It didn't work for me, and I didn't want to take all those pills. And sometimes they just made me feel lethargic. Supplements like magnesium, vitamin D, black cohosh, I never say that right, it's COHOSH, maca root, and lifestyle changes you'll have to make in the way you eat. You'll have to add a lot of these things in. You got to lower the amount of sugar that you intake. You've got to lower the amount of alcohol you take, because it definitely makes a big difference in our lives as women. When we get older and we start to get into the menopause, it affects our bones and our heart, and it affects our anxieties, and it affects our depression when we have the alcohol or an overconsumption of sugars. We crave it. We will end up craving it. I literally sit there at night sometimes and go, I need something sweet. The best advice I can give on that when you're feeling that way is to have little sugary type treats around the house. I have these organic fruit bars, and I have some little organic, and you don't have to have organic. They just taste good and they have a lot of flavor, and I like the ingredients. Little gummy packs. Black Forest, I think, Walmart, I think, does carry them. I just a little pack, and there's like 5 or 6 little gummies in there, and then, you know, I get the sweet and I get the pow in my mouth of all the flavors, and I'm good to go, and I get my sweet tooth is curved. So definitely go ahead and curve the sweet tooth, because if you don't, you're going to end up overindulging, and we don't want to overindulge. That's not the thing that you want to do. Let's see. You know, I'm saying all these things, but I'm trying to cover as much as I can so that people or women can know that you have different options, and it's going to affect everybody differently. And whatever therapy works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So you have to go and figure out what does work for you. But knowing the symptoms that you have will also help you know what you need to treat. Having a doctor that specializes in that kind of thing makes a big difference, because he knows what to look for. And I hope you're not hearing me twist that lid on and off. I do apologize if you are. So one of my biggest things that I have come to in life is I'm a big advocate for mental and emotional wellness, to speak the truth on that for people and to be there for them, to help people to understand that there are certain things in life that are going to make you feel emotional. There's going to be things that cause you to have things that work on you, on your mental health, and break you down. Perimenopause is one of those. It's often mistaken for depression or anxiety. Sometimes women are diagnosed with depression or anxiety. You're labeled with that, and they hand you off some medication and send you on your way, when in all actuality, you're not broken. You've never been broken per se. You're being labeled as this by these doctors that don't know what they're talking about and don't take the time to figure it out. And then it's your hormones affecting your neurotransmitters, and they're firing off. Yeah, you get anxiety. You do feel a little depressed because your whole world is turned upside down, and you're a whole different person than what you were a year ago, and you don't understand it because there's no education on it. There's nobody talking about it. Women don't talk about it. It's always, don't talk about these types of things. We don't talk about that. Yes, we do. We're talking about it right now. We're talking about it. So my advice is, if you're feeling anxious and depressed and you feel like you're full of rage and you don't understand what's going on, go ahead and have them run your blood work. Just run it. All they can do is tell you, oh no, you great, you don't have perimenopause, but make sure you're talking to somebody who knows what ones to run. That makes a difference, because a general practitioner don't always know that or understand it, and they just run basic things and they're like, oh, you look fine. And so you walk out the door thinking you're just crazy and you're full of anxiety and you're a babbling mental breakdown waiting to happen. And you're not. You're not. We're not. So, at this age, in our late 40s, early 50s, a lot of us women are all of a sudden left at home. The kids are gone, going off to college, or the last baby has moved out. I know that I went through, when Michaela went out, I was sad. When Zai was going, I was sad. And I have 2 kids back at home again, but that's just not the same. I mean, I love them. I'm thankful that they're here, but it's just not the same. When the baby boy left, I had to clean his room out myself, and I didn't want nobody at home because I was an emotional mess. It messes with our self-worth as a woman. We don't know where to identify ourselves anymore, and we don't know how to figure that out. Like, what do I do now? I don't know how to be anything but mom and be a provider and be a nurturer and take care of all their needs. So you have all that going at the same time as your body is betraying you, and your sense of self is kind of evolving, and you're trying to figure out, who the heck am I right now? It's a little bit of a reckoning within us, and like a rebirth. we become different women. We evolve into a higher level of being beyond mom. Some weather this well and some do not. I have drudged my way through it for the last couple years, but I could say that I think I'm finally coming out over the top. And I'm landing to where I'm starting to figure out who I am and what I want and what I'm going to do, which is part of this podcast. So I'm shifting. I'm shifting my nurturing needs to you, because I don't have my babies here anymore to nurture them. Do we need a tribe around us? Absolutely. I think it's so important for us women to have more women that's talking to us about this, that's willing to sit and cry with us when we're having a complete meltdown, and then laugh together because we know exactly what the other one's going through. We've been there, or we're just like, oh gosh, this is where I've got to go. And then we're just laughing at the fact that we know that we're fixing to go through this hormone hell ourselves. So having that tribe around you, can be very helpful. Kind of like back porch confessions. Just come here and be part of my tribe, and we will speak the truth, and we will talk about the hard things that that go on. There's several things that are going to shock you, and I'm going to go through a few of them in regards to symptoms that we have as women with perimenopause and menopause that most people have no idea. And you're going to go, oh, because I did in all this research. And just know that you're not less of a woman. You are becoming another version of you. Menopause is not the end. It's an upgrade. Like kind of like Beyonce in her Renaissance era. We are stepping into our own and into a whole new us. You don't have to suffer. You do have options. Go figure out what those options are for you, what you can afford and what you can't afford, can and can't. You need the information and you need the support. If anybody has any questions, if there's anything I can try to help guide you through, please email me. We do have an email, backporchconfessions@gmail.com. Very simple. Send me a message. My name is Barbara, or B, and I'm happy to answer any of this. Midlife isn't a crisis for us. It's a classroom where we're learning how to be new individual people, kind of like the kindergartners and the preschoolers who are trying to figure out how to be an individual person in this whole class of people. Let's see. So round 2 of this crazy, rare, wild, and WTF facts about peri and menopause. You gotta love the titles that they give you sometimes. So one of the craziest, two really of the most craziest, shocking things for me that I didn't realize was related to menopause is burning mouth syndrome. My lips have been burning for probably 2 weeks now. I've had issues with my mouth. The dermatologist has said she thinks it's part of the psoriatic arthritis, which is a thing called graphic tongue or geographical tongue or map tongue. The tongue gets sore, it gets weird, it's kind of like, it looks like a map. But my mouth also burns. I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. If you're going through it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I know it sounds made up, but it's not, it's real. Burning mouth syndrome. It's painful. It's a burning sensation on the tongue, the lips, the gums, or the roof of the mouth, and often due to hormones shifting and messing with the nerves and this saliva. So, there's that. Burning mouth syndrome. So, I can't put enough chapstick. I have tallow chapstick, and it's amazing if you've not had tallow chapstick and you live in North Carolina. The lady might even send it to you. I don't know. Let me find out. I'll find that out for you guys because I'm going to try to have her on. But nonetheless, she has this tallow chapstick and I absolutely love it. I use her tallow facial cream and that's why I look so beautiful. Just kidding. But I do use her tallow cream and I use the tallow chapstick and it's amazing. But I can't put enough of it on. My lips burn constantly and it's absolutely driving me bananas. So the next one, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, was the electric shock sensation. Have you ever just been sitting there and you've been kind of having some heart palpitations and you're just not feeling right and you're kind of tired and then you all of a sudden just feel like something is jolting your body, like it's just blah, blah, and you don't know what the heck is going on? Well, they consider it like zaps or jolts. I call them jolts. Some people call them zaps. Mine have been in my chest. It can be in your arms. It can be in your head. Like you just feel like something is going like that in your head. But basically what's happening is your hormones drop and impact your nerve function. Excuse me. It's unsettling and it makes you think there's something severely wrong. But it's not dangerous. It's going to be okay. You're not having a heart attack. It is just part of menopause and it's your hormones giving your body a middle finger, basically. So yeah, there's the electric shock. If anybody else has that feeling, I thought it was because I was coming off of medication one time. But now that I know all this, and I kept thinking, why am I years later still feeling these? Like, I haven't taken this medicine in years. Why am I still feeling this? I had no idea that it was just me being a woman and my hormones messing with my nerves. Go figure. Who'd have known? Nobody, because they don't tell us. They don't tell us. Dry everything. Yep. Not just down there. Not in the girly park. Dry eyes. Dry nose. Dry ears. That's right. Ears get flaky. Dry throat. Dry mouth. You feel like you can't drink enough water. You feel like you can't swallow anything. You're constantly dry. You could drink water all day long, like I've been sitting here drinking, and I'm still dry. I could probably drink this whole bottle right now and still feel like the Sahara Desert has taken over my body. Your body's mucus production basically goes into early retirement. And right along with our ovaries and everything else, the mucus decides to not produce like it should. And so therefore, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth, the throat, everything just gets all dried up like the Sahara Desert, right along with the early parts. Welcome to being a woman. So we also have gum recession and dental problems. Yep, estrogen protects your bones. So when you're losing that, and you start to get like TMJ, or your gums are sensitive, you get your bleeding all of a sudden more, and you're like, why? I don't understand. I'm flossing, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. I brush my brush my teeth 2 or 3 times a day. What's going on? You panic. You think you're going to have periodontal work. Anyway, yeah, work on your gums. Nobody wants that. It's not a comfortable thing. And you know, while you're laying there in the chair and you're getting your dental checkup, all of a sudden you're having a hormone checkup all at the same time. And your dentist, luckily mine is a female, she understands. So if you do not have a female dentist, they might not understand. So you might want to declare to your dentist, if he is of the male gender and you're having bleeding in your mouth, it's probably because you're in menopause, not because there's something wrong with you. But they will definitely label you as something's wrong with you. Yeah. And another crazy quirk I have, that most of you probably have, is you feel like you're having seasonal allergies, but all year long. So recently they swore up and down I was going to have allergies. So, yeah. They gave me the whole test on my back and did all these things. And she walked out and she come back and she says, and you haven't taken anything? And you haven't whatever, I don't even remember whatever else it was. But I was like, no. She's like, but you have drainage and you this and that. And I'm like, yes. She's like, okay. Well, you don't have any seasonal allergies. You don't have any allergies. You're not allergic to trees or grass or anything, which a long time ago I was, but for whatever reason I am not now. That's the glories of menopause, being a woman. So this drainage that I get at night, it doesn't matter how many allergy pills I take. It's still there. It doesn't ever go away. Well, it's because of menopause. It's because I'm a woman. Non-allergic rhinitis, this is what it's called. Women will also, I did, suddenly become sensitive to certain food types that you weren't before. I could eat cheese and do blackberries and cinnamon and sage, and I mean there's all kinds of things that I'll all of a sudden am allergic to. Hashimoto's, we're not supposed to have what's called nightshades, which include tomatoes and eggplants and things like that. I think sweet potatoes is considered a nightshade. But anyway, in that, anything with the red sauce makes my mouth turn on fire. Pineapples, I can't eat pineapples because it causes blisters all over my mouth. Unfortunately, my youngest daughter has picked that one up. She couldn't figure out for years what's going on with her mouth, and I'm like, I think you've got a food sensitivity. I'm really sure she's got a food sensitivity at this point now, especially now that she lives here. So things that I used to not like, I will like, and now things that I love but just can't have. So I don't know, menopause is just kind of like a plot twist when it comes to being able to eat. You will suddenly develop allergies that you didn't have before. Suddenly you won't like something that you did like before. Something won't taste right. Food won't taste right. I've spent years trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and it's menopause. My taste buds have changed, and it just tastes different. Everything tastes different, and I don't like it. We are the incredible shrinking women. Make sure you're taking your calcium and your vitamin D. You may go from tall to just a tad bit shorter, and we are definitely the incredibly shrinking women, and we will go an inch or more shorter by the time we leave this world if we get to have a full life. We have, as I was just kind of referring to, antihistamines or histamine intolerance, and we get gut weirdness. Okay, so if you've never really had gut weirdness, and all of us have out of the blue, you feel like you're constantly running to the bathroom, you still have your gallbladder, and it shouldn't be this way. Well, it's probably menopause. You probably are having weirdness because estrogen, when you have your estrogen drops, estrogen helps the hormones. And it helps break them down. It breaks down the histamines, rather. Estrogen breaks down the histamines. So when you're histamine intolerant, that means you don't have enough estrogen. When it drops, suddenly your gut feels bloated. You're cranky and reacting to foods that you've eaten before that suddenly are attacking you, and you're like, okay, why? So all of this kind of goes together. And if you have IBS, I do, or diverticulitis, you're all of a sudden going to have flares more often than you used to have. And it's all because you are in menopause or you are in perimenopause. And I'm not going to say that's the sole thing, but that is a big deal on all of it. So ringing in your ears. What? That's part of menopause? Oh, okay. Yeah. So here it is. Estrogens have receptors in your ear canals. And when your estrogen drops, some women experience like a buzzing or a ringing or whooshing in your ear, kind of like you can almost hear your heartbeat, or like you're hearing that sound when an email goes or a text message goes. But of course, nobody's connecting the dots that the hormones are creating this problem, or the lack thereof of the estrogen. But tinnitus oftentimes in women of our age is due to, ringing in the ears is due to low estrogen, not having enough estrogen. ADHD-like symptoms. Yep, they want to slap this on. Okay, you have an adult onset ADHD. What? I didn't have that before. Why do I all of a sudden have that? Have I had that in my entire life? Are you kidding me? No wonder why I couldn't do these things. Well, not actually. Some of it, you were just young and dumb and couldn't concentrate. For most of us, we don't have the ADHD. We just have ADHD-like symptoms. Starting with, let's see, there's 12 things basically. Let's see, difficulty focusing, starting 12 things, finishing none of them. Yes. So how many of us do that? I will be in the bathroom and need to get some water to refill the floss thing, and I'll leave from there to go into the kitchen and realize the junk drawer needs to be fixed, and I'll start in the junk drawer and realize there's a notepad that I needed in the office, so I'll take the notepad over to the office, and I'll get there and I'll realize there's a mess on my desk, so I get started with that, and I need to put this piece of mail over here for my daughter in her office, and I never got the water to the bathroom by the time I've started 12 things and I never get any of them finished. It's a menopause related thing, because we have a difficulty focusing at this point, because we're depleted of our energies, we're depleted of our hormones, which give us our energies, and so therefore trying to focus is one of the most difficult things that we can do at our age, which is why a lot of us will say, if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. If I don't make a list, it's not going to happen. If I don't have a chart planning, it's not going to happen. I have this app, this wonderful app. It's called Finch. It's a little bird. You adopt this little bird, and it gives you tasks to do all day long, and it challenges, and it gives you quests and things like that. Anyway, if you want to download it. You may or may not enjoy it. I do. It helps kind of keep me on track, and one of my other friends does it with me. Actually, two of them, and it's quite it's helpful. Loss of temperature, body regulation. 1 minute you're cold, the next minute you're freezing to death. You can't be trusted with a thermostat, because 1 minute you want it at 75, the next minute you want it on 62. We go from being a baked potato to a frozen potato. yeah, it's quite interesting how our bodies react to the hormone breakdown in our body that creates the internal climate control system that goes wackadoo. And that's all due to low estrogen, low testosterone, low progesterone, and we're not able to regulate it anymore. So hormone replacement therapy is a big, huge plus. Nosebleeds and easy bruising. I've been easy bruising for a long time. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like thinking I've got leukemia or something. I just know it. You know, the perpetual, I've got something, I'm gonna die. So, but it's just part of menopause. Who knew? Who knew that easy bruising was part of menopause? And so your skin goes through a thinning process. Your blood vessels get more fragile. And so that's why it's so easy for us to bruise. Estrogen protective shield drops you can get. I don't know where to get those. I've heard about them. I'm not sure if it has to be something that's prescribed. I didn't do enough research on that for you guys. I can look into it more, or you can probably just Google it. Some women do notice spontaneous nosebleeds or bruises from just minor bumps. So I call them mystery bruises. I will all of a sudden see 50 bruises on my leg and not sure where they came from. I usually attribute it to the dogs jumping around on me. That's typically, I think, where I get a lot of my bruising is the dogs, I'm their playground. So menopause can also be genetic, but trauma speeds it up. So grandma doesn't have menopause until she's 65. You go through a lot of trauma in your life, and your mom, 60, 65, all of a sudden 45, and you're in menopause. Well, a lot of times trauma in someone's life, heavy traumas, women go through a lot of traumas, just people in general go through a lot of traumas. So that can be a trigger for speeding up menopause. So don't overthink it if you're 40 years old and you've been through a lot of traumatic things in your life and all of a sudden you feel like maybe you might be in menopause. Go ahead and ask the doctor. Have that conversation. Talk to them. Chronic stress, autoimmune issues, they all create a ramp up of menopause symptoms. Hysterectomies, obviously you go into what's called a surgical menopause. Surgically induced early menopause is all created by those things. You might feel grief for no reason. You don't know why you're sad. You just feel sad and you just don't understand it. Why am I so sad? We got that when we were actually having normal-ish lady monthly happenings. But, as we get older, and we're not having the periods anymore, we don't understand why we feel a sense of loss and sometimes a sense of identity, a sense of just change in our life. It's because we're going through these things. It's because we're going through changes in our life that we weren't educated on. We don't know what's coming and we don't know what's hit us. So it's kind of like a grieving period. It's a loss that we've lost a whole part of us and now we're somebody else. But just keep your brain in the process of I'm becoming a better version of me every day. And you're not losing something terrible or good. You're just gaining something new and better. Try to think of it in that way if you can. I guess is my advice. Medication works differently for everybody. Your metabolism processes it different. Your livers process it different. So when I say that it can be something that is adjustable per person, that's absolutely, it's gonna be different for everybody. Hormonal changes can alter your scent. Oh yes. You all of a sudden can be like, why am I sweating? Like, am I sweating in this outfit, sitting here in this doctor's office, in this plastic pleather chair? And when I get up, or even in my hairdresser's chair, for the love of God, it doesn't matter where I'm at. If I am sitting on something that is plastic or pleather, I don't know. Leather seats can do it a little bit, but not as bad. Anyway, it just makes me sweat. I mean, I sweat and my whole body is just wet, and it's been that way for years, and I hate it. I hate it, but it's all part of the menopause thing and the hormonal changes that we go through. It can make your body scent change. The perfumes that you used to wear no longer smell the same on you. Scents that you smell don't smell the same to you as it once did. Just kind of the same thing with your taste buds, like I was saying earlier. So some of the myths and truths, I'm going to go over some of these real quick and then I'm going to get off of here. So you're too young to be in peri. Nope. It can start 8 to 10 years before menopause. Some women hit it at 35. 35. So keep that in mind. Myth, menopause. Just hot flashes. The truth is there are 34 plus recognized symptoms. Some say closer to 100 if you include all the weird ones that women have in menopause and that we are not educated on. So chat GPT it, Google it, YouTube it. Ladies, start educating yourself on your symptoms, and so you know, because your doctors aren't just always going to know unless you go to somebody like Dr. Coley. It's downhill from here is one of the myths. No, some women hit their stride. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I am anyway. They own their own power. They launch a business. I've launched a podcast. I am thinking about opening a coffee shop / bookshop, and some write a book. I am in the middle of doing that. Some slay the next chapter of their life. I feel like I'm slaying it. I want to continue to slay it. And, some of these symptoms that I've been through too have been hard on my spouse, and he doesn't understand why I've changed and what's different. So he's had to learn to love the new version of me, and I've had to learn to love the new version of him, and we're both working through this. And there's no blueprint for any of it, but you got to educate yourself so that you know what's going on. And that's the best thing and best advice I can give you is to get the education, educate yourself, know what these symptoms are, and know that you're not crazy and these things really are happening to you, even though if the doctors can't explain it to you why it's happening. It's happening, and there's nothing that you can do to fix that or change it or make it go back or whatever, because we're moving forward in age and not backwards. So take life by the horns, ladies, and make sure that you are getting yourself educated. Thank you for coming again, and thank you for listening. I know this ran a little bit long. I was worried I wasn't going to get it all in a little over an hour, but I tried to talk as fast as I could. I probably missed a lot of things that I wanted to say, but do your education, educate yourself, know what your symptoms are, know that they can be as early as 35. I know some women don't even have menopause until they're 60, 65. So everybody's different and every routine is going to be different. I will put Dr. Coley's information in here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at backporchconfessions@gmail.com. Find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok as well. Thank you guys. Bye. Bye-bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Back Porch Confessions, where the tea is hot, the stories are real, and we never apologize for keeping it honest. Produced and edited by the magic makers over at Zay Media. Until next time, keep your porch talk spicy and your secrets safe. Mostly.